It fused the hero shooter and MOBA genres together, right? By combining the MOBA and hero shooter genre, Deadlock min-maxed the lack of showers and ensured its success as a hero shooter. Alright, the first part is true, but I disagree with the second, kind of. I do think that the MOBA fusion helped it stand out, but plenty of games have attempted to make a hero shooter slash MOBA fusion and all of them have failed. I think there are three defining factors that have helped Deadlock stand out. The genre difference, Deadlock's theme, and the WoW factor. These helped make Deadlock, Deadlock. Before I get to why being a fusion helped Deadlock and how it doomed other games, let me quickly define the two genres. A hero shooter is a shooter where each player picks a hero to play with their own visuals and abilities. Typically, a hero will have around 4 unique abilities, with one being an ultimate ability that is stronger than the rest with a much longer cooldown. A MOBA features 2 teams attempting to break each other's buildings on a map with lanes and areas in between each lane. Each player on the team has a character with their own unique abilities and visuals. Typically, each character will have 4 abilities, with one being an ultimate ability that is stronger than the rest with a much longer cooldown. Each player can grow stronger by getting gold through killing various creatures on the map, including players. Now, just by hearing the definitions of both games, you can probably see some pretty clear overlap. Competitive multiplayer, each player having a unique character, those unique characters having 4 abilities with one being an ult. Both of these genres also feature some of the friendliest player bases. I mean, just look at how worried these guys are for my safety. These overlapping traits make them a great candidate for genre fusion. Deadlock isn't the first game to attempt to fuse the hero shooter and MOBA genres, but it is the first one to do it to any major success. Let me run through the list of failed games. Battleborn, I never played it and I can't now because the server shut down and the game is dead. Paragon, I never played it and I can't now because both the original and the revival are dead. Gigantic, I never played it and I can't now because both the original and the revival are dead. Now, call me crazy, but I'm starting to see a bit of a pattern here. It's almost as if these hero shooter slash MOBA hybrids don't do very well. That's not to say these games are bad though. I personally haven't played any of these games, but I have played MOBAs and hero shooters, so I have a bit of a hypothesis about why these games failed. Hero shooters are pretty friendly to get into, but aiming is an endless skill ceiling and learning all of the heroes can be tough in the beginning. MOBAs are not beginner friendly. Trying to learn a MOBA is like trying to learn how to walk, but while in the middle of a basketball game with all of your teammates telling you to orny into traffic. They typically feature a billion characters, a top-down style you've likely never played with before, a farming system that just straight up doesn't exist in any other popular competitive multiplayer games, and an abundance of complex strategies that you need to know to have any success in the game. Now, you can cut parts of both genres to make it easier for players to learn the game, but then you risk losing depth. But if you don't cut any parts of either genre, then you risk having no larger casual player base because no one can be bothered to learn your game. And I think Deadlock balances this really well. The 2 biggest MOBAs, League of Legends and Dota 2, use different lane setups. League of Legends has 3 lanes and 5 people. Each of these lanes have different roles, and each of those roles have different characters and items associated with them. Dota 2 also has 3 lanes and 5 people, and those lanes also have their own unique roles, which also have their own unique characters and items. Deadlock has 3 lanes and 6 people. This is the best change Deadlock made from its predecessors. Deadlock doesn't have roles. You can play any character in any lane, it doesn't matter. This removes so much complexity while barely touching the depth. Now a new player can pick their favorite character and doesn't have to worry about what lane they need to be in or what playstyle that lane requires. They can simply play. This wasn't always the case. Deadlock used to have 4 lanes and 2 duo lanes and 2 solo lanes. Thank God they changed it, because the meta was beginning to develop with who you pick in what lane, and once that took hold, you would now have team members getting mad because you aren't swapping into the right lane based on your character, which could eventually lead to a character lock-in screen pre-game, and now you've added 5 minutes to every match and 5 hours of headache for new players. Farming is the next big difference. Farming just refers to the process of gathering golden experience through killing NPCs. Like other MOBAs, Deadlock features 2 main forms of farming: lane creeps and monsters. Lane creeps are the little candlesticks that spawn from both teams' bases, then walk down the lanes. Killing these grants the game's equivalent of gold, souls. After you kill each candlestick, they drop a soul. These souls when shot also give you souls, but unlike the candlestick, the souls aren't affiliated with either team, so both teams can shoot them to claim the souls. Holy fuck, I said souls a lot. This feature of being able to deny the enemy team's souls is something that Deadlock got from Dota 2, and I have mixed feelings about it. Okay, on one hand, I understand how much of a minigame it adds to laning, with both players aware of both sides' health bars and timing their abilities accordingly to distract and deny. That being said, it is easily the hardest thing new players have to adjust to. The difference in souls between laners when someone is actively denying every soul is crazy, and new players are always going to be bad at this. I do understand that this adds depth to the laning phase through different strategies that arise from trying to get the denies, but League removed this mechanic from their game, and I just don't think it badly affected the game's depth. So far, I've only talked about how Deadlock handled the MOBA side of the fusion, so it handled the hero shooter side. Deadlock's map design might not seem initially that different from other hero shooters, but there are some key distinctions. The first is verticality. Deadlock's map is tall. You can reach the top of almost any building, and the game encourages you to do this. This makes a big difference because it adds another dimension to positioning. Lash is the obvious example for positioning around height. Lash's downward slam gains damage as it travels down, so the higher you are, the better. This causes a domino effect where now the Venator needs to play around Lash's height to make sure they don't get bursted by the Lash. Now, Lash may be the premier example, but every hero in Deadlock has to think about verticality in some way. Another feature that shines through in Deadlock's maps are movement gimmicks. What I mean by a movement gimmick is something you interact with that moves you in a certain way. Deadlock has 3: teleporters, ziplines, and air vents. I think they work so well because they add a lot of depth, but not too much complexity. None of these gimmicks are hard for new players to wrap their head around, but each gimmick adds strategy and skill expression to the movement of the game. A player who knows where all the vents are can zoom around a team fight, ducking in and out of the fight, or cut across the map. But to use an air vent, all you have to do is walk over it. Teleporters are crucial for cross-map movement, but they're just a box you stand in for a little while. Ziplines are how you quickly travel along lanes, and while they may not initially seem to add that much depth, the fact that there is a long cooldown for the speed up does mean you actually have to think about them and has some strategy around them. Hero shooters feature some of the most unique and distinctive themes of any video game genre. Overwatch? Future. Marvel Rivals? Future. Concord? Future. Valorant? You know it's future. Lawbreakers? They spiced it up with future. Apex Legends? Future. Now, lucky for you, MOBAs keep up the theme bonanza with their entries. League of Legends. Fantasy with a smidgen of steampunk. Dota 2. Fantasy with a smidgen of steampunk. Smite 2. Fantasy. Mobile Legends. Be ready for this one. Fantasy. Now, for some weird, strange reason, Valve decides to swap Deadlock from their very original initial theme of future to 1950s Gothic steampunk New York. How boring. Now, this helps Deadlock feel unique and interesting. From the map to the heroes, the whole game feels like it's oozing in personality compared to some of the other hero shooters in the genre. I know I've done a lot of glazing, but not everything in Deadlock comes from Peaches and Creamville. Heroes are something Deadlock does to mixed effects. Teenage punk necromancer, samurai but conehead. Grizzled priest out to deliver some holy justice. Mole with thing on it, but gangsters, eh? A punk rock goat with a bat and an attitude? Shoulder pads. Deadlock's recent wave of heroes are leaps and bounds better than what they were pumping out before, but I still don't even think it grazes the level of the original Overwatch characters and Marvel Rivals. The difference maker is that the devs of Overwatch and Marvel Rivals used this acronym when making their heroes. Terrific, high vis, interesting, can't miss, and capacious. A critical factor that I haven't mentioned yet is the company making Deadlock. Valve is a titan in the gaming industry. The Portal games, Half-Life, TF2, Counter-Strike, Dota 2, and Left 4 Dead, Valve genuinely just doesn't miss. So it's not a huge surprise that even with the game being an invite-only beta, you still have players clambering to get the grubby little mitts on it. Valve just has that secret sauce everyone's so interested in. So what's the point of even making this video? If it's a Valve game, it's a good one, alright? If you make your way past the mega structure that is Steam, through Valve's library of genre-defining titles, and two of the most popular multiplayer series ever, you'll see a sad, deformed hunchback of an abandoned game called Artifact. Valve released Artifact as a card game spin-off of Dota 2 in the same vein as Hearthstone. Problem was that Artifact just wasn't very good in a very saturated genre. Remind you of anything? Just because the big Valve is behind it doesn't mean that's a guaranteed success. But there are a lot of benefits. After Overwatch's release, there have only been a handful of hero shooters to break through as big successes. Valorant, Apex Legends, Marvel Rivals, and Deadlock. All of these games aside from Apex have catapulted themselves off the back of established names. In a genre as saturated as hero shooters, having some pull outside of just being a new hero shooter is crucial. Valve is that pull. A company with as clean a track record will always bring in new players to a game. There's another thing that Valve brings to its games. Something I've seen few other games be able to replicate is schmovement. Valve taps into some black magic when it comes to making the movement in their games, and Deadlock is no exception. I've already mentioned the map gimmicks, but each character has a core movement mechanic of dashes, stamina, sliding, and wall jumps, along with all their air strafing and movement conservation. I mean, just look at some of the schmovement players are able to pull off. With how constrained the movement in other hero shooters can feel, such clean and crazy movement tech gives Deadlock another layer to help it stand above its competition. Deadlock escaped the hero shooter graveyard through the head start given from being a Valve game, dodged the pitfalls of being too generic, and has remained popular because at its core, it's just a very good game.